Good everyone, Organization. Today we have a review on the Lancasters. Now, obviously, if you know your aircraft history for Britain, these are probably some of the most recognizable bombers that Britain ever built during the Second World War. The other ones probably being considered as the Wellington, the Halifax, and stuff like the Short Stirling and the Short Sunderland. Now, obviously, British bombers don't tend to have the best reputation in War Thunder, except for the Sunderland and the Blenheim and the Beaufort doesn't really count, but I'm going to put it in the list anyway. And there's a good reason for that, because 90% of the British bombers that we have in game were designed to fly at night, and they were not very well armed because of that. And let's just say these Lancasters were painful, to say the least. Now, obviously, I didn't get to review the short Sterlings because of a patch dropping, and obviously the replay files died before I could do it. And obviously, I couldn't do the Spitfire 5C, which I wanted to do, but hey ho. So, at least we get to do the bigger brother of the Sterlings in the game, the Lancasters. So, the Lancasters, I have actually seen one of these things flying myself. I've stood very close to the nose section of a Lancaster. Obviously, it was just the nose section, it wasn't a full fuselage of the aircraft. And obviously, the Lancaster, fair enough, I'm not including any British bias here, trust me. But the Lancasters are some of the most recognizable planes. If I hear one of these things, I'll just go Lancaster, because I know exactly what it is. The sound of four Rolls-Royce Merlin engines is just unbelievable. I have heard one of these things flying over when I was walking my uncle's dog, and let me tell you that it sounded amazing. There was no other word to describe it. And obviously, I knew they were in War Thunder, and I wanted to get around to them as soon as I could. What I didn't expect was the sheer amount of pain. The problem is with the Lancaster in War Thunder is that it suffers hard. These bombers are built to fly at night, as I mentioned, and the aircraft as a result is very much, shall we say, kicked in the balls because of the way Gaijin is with their night maps. I never once got a night map. I never once got a dusk map. I only got a couple of cloud maps, and even then you could see right through it. This is the problem with these British bombers, and they're at 5.3 for one reason and one reason only: the payload. But first of all, we need to cover the turrets on these Lancasters. So, the Lancasters really don't tend to differ much in terms of their defensive armament. Obviously, we only have two Lancasters in game, so this is nice and simple. So, on both Lancasters, the nose turret is a twin 7.7 and the top turret is a twin 7.7. The only difference is in terms of armament. I'll obviously go over the engine shortly. The tail gun on the Mark 1 is 4.77s, which I would actually argue is better than the 50 cals, and I'm not bullshitting you. And on the Mark 3, you get twin 50 cals. Now, the 50 cals are more effective at taking out ground targets, because yes, I did use this thing surprisingly as a ground attacker. Well, both Lancasters really, because that's the best way to employ them, in my personal opinion. They do well as base bombers, but personally, I tended to side climb because if you went in, you'd just get eviscerated by enemy fighters. So the Lancaster Mark III is certainly better in the ground pounding job, and obviously with the ball turret being able to depress quite well, it's able to support the 50 cals in the back, and you can actually tear apart pillboxes rather quickly. In terms of engines, the Lancaster Mark I is powered by four Rolls-Royce Merlin 2412 cylinder inlines, pushing out a maximum of 1446 horsepower each. Now that's not bad. But then you go to the Mark III, which has Rolls-Royce Merlin 28s, which is 1520. Now that doesn't sound like an increase, but that's around about 320 horsepower increase across the board. So obviously across all four engines. That does make a difference, and this plane climbs better than the Mark One. But obviously, with the bomb load that the Lancaster can carry, it is kind of unlikely that you're going to be able to climb very well anyway, even with the improved engines. Now, obviously, we need to go over repair costs as well, which is again where the Lancasters suffer. 10,060 or 10,684 on the Mark 1, 12,789 on the Mark 3. I don't agree with these BRs at all, or these max repair costs at all. These Lancasters could easily be dropped, in my personal opinion. When it comes to battle ratings, these aircraft are heavily outgunned by their opposition. You can see 162s in this thing, so you can even fight jets to some extent. And the B-17E, if we just go to the B-17E, this is now at 4.7, and this is covered in 50 cals apart from the nose gun. Same with the EL, and same with the Privateer. Same with the B-17G. Even the B-24 is at 5.7 because it's covered in 50 cals and packs a quite good bomb load. The Lancasters only pack bomb load. They have barely any armor protection. Both Lancasters have terrible armor protection, with just 8mm steel protecting the pilot and 6.35 protecting the engines, which is not going to do anything against anything. Nothing, well, pretty much anything can knock these Lancasters out of the sky. And with the gunners being completely unprotected, that doesn't help the reasons either. So finally, let's go into the bomb loads. You start out with 14 250 pounders, however you can put in this bomb load, which I don't recommend, or you can go with the 14 500 pounders. This will start you off. If I remember rightly, it takes 12 to take out a base. So it's either 10 or 12, one of the two. I never really used the 500 pounders on bases though. Then obviously you can get the AUBC number 1 Mark II, and this enables you to put 14 1,000 pounders in the aircraft. This is amazing. It takes 3 1,000 pounders to kill a base, and you can kill all 3 bases and still have 5 left for the airfield. And if you manage to drop the whole lot on an airfield, you get just over 4 tons on the airfield. Pretty impressive. But then we get into the strange bomb loads. 2 250 pounders, a cookie, which is the infamous 4,000 pounder, and 6 1,000 pounders. Or you can carry 2 cookies. I believe this is the same for the Mark 1 Lancaster, and yes it is. But obviously, the main difference is obviously the turrets and everything. So, well, the turrets and the engines is really where this thing tends to be different from others. But these Lancasters need a BR drop. They are not competitive in the slightest in terms of defensive, and most importantly, their BRs are too high for what they are. So, and also the Lincoln could do with a BR drop. So in terms of results, the Lancaster Mark 1, 11 battles to Spade the aircraft, because obviously I'm running premium. 7 deaths, 6 air kills, 29 ground units, and around about 5 to 6 base kills. Lancaster Mark 3, 10 games to Spade it. 4 deaths, 2 kills, 95 ground, and 4 bases, which I did in 1 game, because, well, you can thank the enemy team for actually ignoring me. These aircraft suffer hard, and they were pretty hard to Spade because of that. That is why I waited for premium. And obviously, I still have the Lincoln left, and I don't think that's going to be much of an upgrade either. But hey, maybe once I get a next lot of premium, you may get a Lincoln review. We'll see. But anyway, the footage you're going to see from this battle is nice and simple, because obviously I've blabbered on a bit too much as I usually do. And you're going to see footage from the Mark 1 Lancaster, and this was the battle that spaded the aircraft. And I really didn't care what happened in this battle. I honestly didn't. I just wanted the plane done. I think I was like 1 mod away from it, or maybe 2. And I just said, look, lads, because obviously I'm flying with Shadow, Birdie, and Airy. I was like, look, lads, I don't want to fly this thing anymore. I want to get onto the Mark 3 and get that started. Get it done as soon as possible. And that way I can just get these aircraft over and done with, and I don't have to fly them again. Because I'm sorry, these aircraft are not fun. It was nice to drop 14 1,000 pounders on their airfield, but I honestly couldn't care less. So, the plan was to dive in hard and get the bombs out and attempt to escape. But obviously I don't escape. Spoiler alert. Now the battle shows 11 minutes long, my contribution is less than 5. But this was the initial strategy that I tended to do on most maps. Unless it was a map that was large, such as Berlin, Zhengzhou, which I got once, and that was Spade in the Mark 1, not the Mark 3. And other large maps that allow me to side climb. The Mark 1 cannot side climb. The Mark 3 can. So just take that into account. The dive speed of this aircraft is actually not too bad for the size of the aircraft. Remember, this is a 4-engine heavy bomber. This is quite good dive speed for what this is. It's no GA-N1 in terms of dive speed and defensive armament, but it's still good in the regards of this is a 4-engine bomber. This is what you're gonna get for the most part. So that AU-1 there is actually rushing the railway carriages, which I can't say I blame him, but I think I only get about 4 of them, if I remember rightly. And 3 or 4 of them, if I remember rightly, because obviously he's going to nick most of them. And I honestly didn't care what was going to happen, because, well, I was so close to having this plane done. And I wasn't getting desperate, I was just getting sick and tired of it, because the Lancasters just suffer hard. So I dropped 4 bombs out there. That's going to get the last lot. And obviously, I've already spotted a 190 FA, and again, I could not care less what happens in this battle. And even you can see that the 288's having a crack at me, because he knows my defensive armament is that shit. And obviously, I'm flying the Mark 1 at this point. This isn't the Mark 3, but that Quad 77 turret, as I said, it's got good weight of shot, which even a 288 ought to take consideration to. That 288 is going to burn down, by the way. So obviously, I think I dropped 4 bombs there. I don't know why I did. I think I was just getting desperate. But I do get that base, and this F8 comes in behind the aircraft. I set him on fire. And, well, he regretted that decision, didn't he? But obviously, I'm trying to get the bombs out. But the AU-1's actually going to steal the base. So, yeah. I think I just dropped the whole lot anyway, because I honestly couldn't care. And obviously, as you can see, the aircraft's damage model is complete crap. The aircraft cannot take a hit, like most bombers. Just proves that bombers just need to rework. But at this point, I'm flying with no tail control. The aircraft doesn't seem to like flying with no tail control. Most bombers can fly with no tail control. And by the way, the 288 crashed, and that F8 is going to crash later. But the way I actually recommend Spade in this aircraft is with a 4-man squad. 3 fighters, and your poor ass in the Lancaster. But obviously that G6 just shredded my ass to Kingdom Come. I did get a crit on him though, and he is going to crash later on, getting me a kill. But obviously that's the end of my Lancaster, and I just decided, right, let's get the crew out. Because, well, there's no point sitting around watching the plane tumble, is there, when I can get the crewmen out. And, well, hey, we've now become the Avro Manchester, so there's a positive, eh? Because if you don't know, the Manchester is essentially a 2-engine Lancaster. They just look very similar. By the way, guys, I would actually like to see the Manchester. It's actually quite an interesting aircraft. But if I just jump us ahead, and, well, this is one such example of a perfect aircraft to bring along when it comes to 4-man squad. Is Harry's F-82. He's obviously brought the gun pod and everything. Bert is in his P-47, again another great aircraft, and the Wyvern that Shadow's flying, again pretty solid aircraft for the capability. And, well, obviously having Harry as backup is really nice and all, and having Shadow and Bertie as backup is even better. But obviously, I got my 3 kills, and if you just look at the battle chat, shot down 109G, shot down 109F. So let's return to the hangar, and I can just say what I think needs to be said. Which one to fly? If I was to honestly say, the Mark 1. Now that may come as a surprise to some of you. You may think, well, Joe, you just said the Mark 3 has better engines and better guns, technically speaking. Yes, but the Mark 1 has weight of shot in its turrets. So that's my personal opinion. I mean, you saw what it did to a 288. Even a 288 ought to think twice about trying to gunship. At least that's my opinion. But the Lancasters are in need of a BR decrease. They do not deserve to sit the BRs they're at. And until then, I would advise avoiding this aircraft. And if you're going to put in the comments asking for the Lincoln, to quote Hairy Feet, you know where to shove that request. But until then, obviously, I'll be getting another load of premium at some point. I'll probably just grind some G for it. And you may see a video on the Avro Lincoln at some point. But anyway, I'm going to let you guys off. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all on the next one.